Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our virtual Mishnah Berurah share. We're holding Mishnah Berurah Chelik Gimel, and Mir Hashem today we will be learning Daf Mem Aleph Amid Beis. We are continuing to learn Hilchos Shabbos. We pick up today on the very bottom line of Mem Aleph Amid Aleph, Siman Reish Samech Vav Sif Zayin. Our learning should be a schus for Achenu Kol Beis Yisrael, Hanesudim Batzaru Bashivya, Ha'imdim Bein Bayom Bein Bayabasha, Hamakay Mirachem Aleihem, V'yaytziah Mitzar L'Rvacha Me'afelu La'oiro B'shibud L'Geula Hashta B'Golo V'Zman Kariv and Amar Amen. As I record this shir, over the last 24 to 48 hours, things have been heating up in the north of Eretz Yisrael, and I always try to go out of my way to mention that people become glued to listening to news reports, and when they listen to the news reports, they hear things that they think are good, hear things that they think are bad, they hear things where people are very much Seinei Yisrael and not out for our welfare and saying bad things. They see things that worked out well, and if we get too involved in it, you could end up in a position where you could chas v'chalila fall trap to koichi v'aitzim yadi. You start thinking about, wow, look how smart they are. Look, they pulled this off, they pulled that off. You start falling into maybe a little bit of despair or upsetness when you hear what people in the world are trying to do to us. We always have to remember that anu ein lanu ela avinu shabashamayim. We have to put all of our emuna and bitachon, all of our faith has to be in the Ribbono Shel Olam, not anywhere else. The Ribbono Shel Olam has his hands on everything. The Ribbono Shel Olam is the one that's pulling all the strings. The Ribbono Shel Olam is the one that's making everything happen. The Ribbono Shel Olam loves Klal Yisrael. The Ribbono Shel Olam takes care of Klal Yisrael, and that's what our mindset has to be. We can't be falling into thinking in any other way. Also, our learning should be a schus refuah shalema for Tzvi ben Leah Miriam, who is in very, very strong need of rachamei shamayim. Okay, having said that, let's move along here. Siman Reish Samech Vav Sif Zayin, bottom line on Mem Aleph Amid Aleph. So here in Siman Reish Samech Vav, we've been discussing this case of somebody who was Hichshich loy baderech. He was traveling, and now he's coming into Shabbos. The Zman of Shabbos came while he's traveling on the road. And we've been discussing the case of this individual who's out on the road, and he has a kiss with him. He has a wallet or a purse that's full of money. He might have other kalim that he has together with him, and we're trying to figure out what he should do with it. He can't go and carry it in the Rishus HaRabim, because that would be an Issa Daraisa of HaTorah. To transport something for Amos in the Rishus HaRabim, that's an Isser of HaTorah. So we certainly don't want this person to go carry his wallet or carry his purse. So we've discussed different scenarios over here. We began the Siman with the scenario of somebody who's out in the Rishus HaRabim and he has a chamor and he has an Eina Yehudi. And we spoke about what should he do with this purse. Well, we're not going to have him carry it. That could be infringing on an Issa Daraisa. To go ahead and put it on the chamor, that also comes up against two potential Isurei Daraisa. We've spoken at length about the Isser of Shvisas Behemtoi. We've also spoken at length about the Isser of Mechamer. So again, you're coming up against Isurei Daraisa. So at the beginning of the Siman, we landed on, given the choice between carrying it yourself, putting it on top of the chamar, we said best give it to the Eina Yehudi, because giving it to the Eina Yehudi is an Issa D'Rabbanan of Amir La'akum. Then we turned our attention, what if he doesn't have a chamar and an Eina Yehudi? He only has a chamar. So now the option of Amir La'akum by giving it to the Eina Yehudi doesn't exist. Okay, so then we spoke about how he could put the kiss, the wallet or the purse, on the chamar without transgressing either Shvisas Behemtoi or Mechamer. And basically what we said was, the Eitzah is you have to put the kiss on the chamar in a way where the chamar will never perform a complete malacha of Haitzah. Because remember, in order to perform the complete malacha of Haitzah, of transporting something Daled Amos in Rishus HaRabim, you need an akira. You have to uproot the item, in this case the purse. You have to uproot it from a state of rest. then you need to transport it 4 amos or more, and then you have to make a hanacha. You have to put it back down. You have to put it back at rest. If you prevent the animal from performing one of those steps, then the animal will not perform the complete malacha of haitzah. So long as the animal doesn't perform the complete malacha of haitzah, the owner of the animal is not going to transgress the requirements of shvisas behemtai. He's also not going to be over on the iser daraisa of mechamer if he makes the animal do it, because he's not making the animal perform a complete malacha of haitzah. What did we say he should do? Very simple. We said, wait until the animal is walking. When the animal is already walking, then take the kiss, put it on the animal. Now the animal did not make an akira. The animal did not uproot this kiss from a state of rest. You put it on the animal, you made the akira, and you put it on the animal while the animal was already walking. So the animal did not make an akira. Now if the animal stops, he may have transported the kiss 4 amos or more in Rishus Harabim, and he made a hanacha by stopping. He puts the kiss back at rest, but he never made an akira. So the animal never performed a complete malacha. You're not over on the requirements of shvisas behemtai. You're not over on mechamer. Then we spoke yesterday about a person who does not have an Eina Yehudi or a chamor. Instead, he has a cherish, a shoita, or a katan. And we spoke about what's the order of preference. Who should he give it to before the other? Now, finally, we turn to the bottom line. Mem Aleph Amud Aleph Sif Zayin, says the mechaber. In ein imoy shum echad mikol elu. Turning to Mem Aleph Amud Beis. Let's say this person is all alone out on the road in Rishus Harabim. He doesn't have a chamor to put it on. He doesn't have an Eina Yehudi to give it to. He doesn't have a cherish or a shait or a cotton to give it to. So he's alone on the road with his purse full of money. What should he do? Again, we don't want to box this individual in. We don't want to tell him, sorry, Charlie, you've got no choice. Drop the purse and lose the money. If there's any eitzah that we could give him not to do that, we don't want to box him in and tell him that he has to do that. Why? Because we're afraid that if we do tell him that, really, a yid is b'chuyev to take a tremendous hefsid, not to be over in Issa Daraisa. We don't tell you, oh, it's going to cost you a lot of money, go ahead, be over in Issa Daraisa. No, a person, you're not allowed to go ahead and be over in Issa Daraisa just to save yourself from taking a loss. The reason we're being makel on this person over here is because we're afraid. If we're going to box him in and we're going to tell him, sorry, Charlie, drop the purse, we're afraid he's going to make a bad choice. We're afraid he's going to go ahead and he's going to get panicked. He's going to get flustered in the heat of the moment. He's going to make a bad decision that he's going to regret later. And he's going to be over the Issa Daraisa of Haitzah. He's going to carry the purse. Dalet Amos in Rishus Harabim. So if there's a way out, if we could give him an eitzah of what to do, where he has the ability to save the money and not be over an Issa Daraisa, he might have to be over an Issa Darabanan. But if we could avoid him, if we could tell him, you could save the money, you don't have to take a loss, and still don't be over an Issa Daraisa, we'll give him that way out. Because if we don't, he might come to be over an Issa Daraisa. So says the mechaber over here, what if he doesn't have an Eina Yehudi to give it to? So he can't just go be over the Issa Darabanan of Amira La'akum. He doesn't have a chamor to put it on. So he can't go ahead and use that eitzah. He doesn't have a cherish shait or a cotton to give it to. What should he do? Says the mechaber, in this case, there's another eitzah. Top line, Mem Aleph Amud Beis, Yitaltalenu pachus me arba amos. What he should do is, he should transport the kiss a little bit less than 4 amos, and then he should stop. And then he should wait. Then he should take the kiss again, and go, again, a little bit less than 4 amos, and then stop. And then he should go ahead, start again, and again go a little bit less than 4 amos. What's he accomplishing by doing this? Well, the Isser Daraisa of Haitzah, we said, requires 3 actions. You need an Akira, then you need to go 4 amos or more, and then you need a Hanacha. if you never transport the item 4 amas in one shot, you're not over the Issa Daraisa of Hoitzah. This is also b'Darabanan. And we're going to see it's a very, very stringent Issa Darabanan. But it's not also b'Daraisa. So again, we've come up with an Eitzah where we could tell this person, you don't have to drop the purse, and we're going to give you a way to keep the purse and transport the purse until you get home without being over an Issa Daraisa. You're going to be over an Issa Darabanan, but not an Issa Daraisa, and we're going to be makel, and we're going to allow you to do that. So that's what the Mechaber said here. Yetaltalenu pachas me arba amos. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Ois Cotton Tez Zayin, back on Mem Aleph Amad Aleph. Im ein imoy. Says the Mishnah Berurah, realize, we're only giving this Eitzah of pachas me arba amos in a case where you don't have the option of the Ein Yehudi, you don't have the option of the Chamor. So the Mishnah Berurah wonders, why? Why didn't we give this option right away in the beginning? If you're stuck out in the wilderness, you have a Chamor, you have an Ein Yehudi, you know what? Don't put it on the Chamor, because then you're coming up against Daraisis of Shvisis Behemtoy and Mechamer. And as far as giving it to the Ein Yehudi, well, that's Amir Lakum. Amir Lakum is an Issa D'Rabbanan. Pachas Me'aba Amos is also an Issa D'Rabbanan. So why didn't we give Pachas Me'aba Amos as an Eitzah right away in the beginning? It seems to be just as much of an Eitzah as Amir Lakum. So explains the Mishnah Berurah, no, it's not. Deshvos Chamer Hu Ma'oid. Pachas Me'aba Amos, it's considered a very stringent Issa D'Rabbanan. Why, explains the Chavetz Chaim? Because Dilma lo yitzamtzeim b'shi'uroi. When we tell somebody, transport the kiss a little bit less than 4 amas, does this guy have an amma tape measure on him? Even if he had a tape measure on him, measuring is also an Isser on Shabbos. How does the guy know exactly what Dalan Amas is? So he's going to be Mishayer. He's going to approximate in his mind. He's going to say, Dalan Amas, what is that? That's about 8 feet. Okay, 8 feet. What's my shoe size? He's going to walk, and it's very possible that he's going to exceed Dalan Amas. And if he exceeds Dalan Amas, he's over in Issa Daraisa. So says the Mishnah Berurah, that's why we're not going to give this Eitzah as a frontline Eitzah. This Eitzah is a B'diavad Eitzah. It's not a Chalchil Eitzah. Teshvus chamer u'moed, dilma lo yitzamtzem b'shiyuroi, v'yaveh lo helich arba amis b'rishos harabim. He'll come to transport it more than 4 amis b'rishos harabim, which would be an Issa Daraisa. U'v'koishi gadol itira Chazal dor vazeh mishum pseida. It was a great difficulty for Chazal, but as a last resort, they were matter this Eitzah of pachas v'dalat amis, so that the person shouldn't be faced with a choice either of taking a significant loss or being over in Issa Daraisa. That's why Chazal did not want to be matir pachas bi'arba amos unless it was a last resort, unless there was no other choice. So again, what's the eitzah over here? The eitzah is you're all alone. It's you and your purse. All right, do pachas bi'arba amos. Again, I want you to understand what pachas bi'arba amos is. You take the kiss, you go less than 4 amas, you stop. Then you go again, a little bit less than 4 amas, you stop. So you're never transporting the chayfetz, the kiss, more than 4 amas, or even 4 amas, in one shot. Okay, says the Mishnah Berurah cutting your zayin. But realize, what does the eitzah of pachas bi'arba amos help? V'zeh ein a moyel, ela le'inyan tiltel b'rishos harabim, oy b'karmelis. Pachas bi'arba amos saves you from being over the Isser of Hoitzah of Havaras Chayfetz Dalan Amos B'Rishos Harabim, of transporting something 4 amos or more in Rishos Harabim. Ein amoyel alini tiltal Rishos Harabim b'karmel shoy isu mishum tiltal arba amos al kain mahani zeh. You're never traveling 4 amos or more. So yes, pachas bi'arba amos will save you from that. But how about the other type of hoitzah? Avol mikarmelis l'rishos hayachid. But let's say you're faced with a situation where you're located in a karmelis. You're out on the road, but the road is not a real rishos harabim. It's not 16 amos wide. It's not a place that has 600,000 people traveling. So it's not a bona fide rishos harabim. It's not a rishos hayachid. What is it? It's a karmelis. It's a rishos d'Rabbanan. And now you want to go from this Carmelis into a Rishus HaYachid. Oil Rishus HaRabim. Or you want to go from a Carmelis into a bona fide Rishus HaRabim. V'chol shkein me Rishus HaRabim l'Rishus HaYachid. Or you want to take the kiss from the Rishus HaRabim into the house, into the Rishus HaYachid. To ha'isr mishom hatzah me Rishus l'Rishus. Over there, that's a different type of Haitzah. Remember, we spoke yesterday. There's two types of the Isser of Haitzah. One is transferring an object from one type of Rishus to another type of Rishus. So if you pick up an object inside your house, which is a Rishus HaYachid, and you take it outside to a bona fide Rishus HaRabim, and you put it down in the Rishus HaRabim, you are over Haitzah Daraisa, even if you didn't move the Chayfetz Talad Amas. Let's say you picked up the Chayfetz immediately inside your front door. So you made an Akira in Rishus HaYachid. Now, you open the front door, and you transport the Chayfetz from inside in the Rishus HaYachid to outside in the Rishus HaRabim. You only moved the Chayfetz 6 inches. You moved it from inside your front door to immediately outside your front door. Did you transport it to Daled Amos? No. But you know what you did? You transported it from a Rishus HaYachid to a different Rishus, to a Rishus HaRabim. That's an Issa Daraisa. Doesn't matter that you didn't move it 4 Amos. You moved it from one Rishus to another Rishus. So what the Mishnah Berurah is reminding me over here, remember, Pachas B'Yarba Amos only helps save you from the Isser Haitzah of transporting something in a Rishus HaRabim or in a Carmelis 4 Amos. If you go less than 4 Amos, Pachas B'Yarba Amos, you're not going to be over that Isser. But when it comes to the Isser Haitzah of moving something from one type of Rishus to another type of Rishus, Pachas B'Yarba Amos isn't going to help you. If you take something from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaRabim, or from Rishus HaRabim to Rishus HaYachid, or even from a Carmelis to a Rishus HaRabim, or vice versa, you're going to be over that Isser, even if you move it less than 4 Amos. So that's why the Mishnah Berurah says over here, Alva mi Carmelis to Rishus HaYachid, but if you move a Chayfetz from a Carmelis to a Rishus HaYachid, or Rishus HaRabim, or from a Carmelis to a Rishus HaRabim, v'chol shkein mi Rishus HaRabim to Rishus HaYachid, kal v'chaymer, if you move something from a bona fide Rishus HaRabim to a bona fide Rishus HaYachid, to ha'isr hu mishom haitzah me Rishus l'Rishus, that's an isser of moving something from one type of Rishus to another type of Rishus, the asr afilu b'chatzi amma. That's asr even if you only transport the chayfetz to half an amma, or even if you only transport it 6 inches. That's going to be asr. Ein moil zeh. Pachas B'Yarba Amos is not going to save you from that isser. And he brings this down from the Taz. Al-Kain, therefore, says the Chavetz Chaim, B'inyanenu, in our story of the guy who's traveling on the road and he has his wallet. So now imagine, this guy got caught out on the road on Shabbos in the Rishus HaRabim. He's all alone and he has his purse. He's using this eitzah of the Mechaber, and he's doing Pachas B'Yarba Amos. He walks 3.5 Amos, then he stops. Then he walks another 3.5 Amos, and he stops. Then he walks another 3.5 Amos, and he stops. Eventually, he gets to his house. Now, he's standing outside his house. Says the Mishnah Berurah, when this guy gets to his house, which is a Rishus HaYachid, he can't say, okay, I'll pick up the Chayfetz right outside my door in Rishus HaRabim, and I'll take it into the house, but I'll transport it less than 4 Amos, and then I'll put it down. No, you picked it up in Rishus HaRabim, you put it down in Rishus HaYachid. That would be an Issa Daraisa. I don't care that you didn't move it 4 Amos. So therefore, says the Mishnah Berurah, Al Kain B'Inyanenu, when this guy gets next to his house, Shehu Rishus HaYachid, which is a real Rishus HaYachid, what does he have to do? Yizroi kakis kela'achar yad lebeisai. He should throw the purse into the house, kela'achar yad. Kela'achar yad means he should toss the kiss into the house in a meshunadic way. Maybe he should pick it up with his teeth and throw it into the house from his teeth. So he's doing it in an unusual, abnormal way. When you do a malacha in an abnormal way, that's not considered a real malacha midaraisa. By doing it kalachar yad, by doing it with a meshuna, it's not really the malacha of hachnasa. It's not really performing the malacha midaraisa of picking it up in Rishus HaRabim and putting it into Rishus HaYachid. Even if he put it down close to his house, even if the guy came to his house and he put it down right outside his front door. We don't say, all right, it's already by your front door, just leave it there for the duration of Shabbos. No, you're still allowed to get it into your house using kalach hayad, using something that's mishuna, doing it in a strange way because of a hefsid. You never know. What do they call them nowadays? Porch robbers or something, porch pirates, the ones who steal the Amazon packages from the porches. Kasav Taz, the Taz writes, Loi yafe oisen shenoisen tinok lomol bepachas pachas be'arba amis. The Taz talks about people who are making a Shabbos bris. Now the baby is at home with mommy. They want to do the Shabbos bris inside the shul. Somehow they have to transport the baby to the shul. So what they do is they do pachas be'arba amis. They take the baby, they carry the baby less than 4 amas, and then they stop. Then they carry the baby another 3.5 amas, and they stop. Then they carry the baby another 3.5 amas, and they stop. Taz says that's not proper. They should not do this. Right away, a problem over here is, how did you get the baby out of the house into the street? Even if the street's not a bona fide Rishus HaRabim, the street is a Carmelis. It's a Rishus D'Rabbanan. Transferring something from a house, a Rishus HaYachid, to a Carmelis is an Issa D'Rabbanan. So it's very nice that you came up with pachas me'arba amos when you're in the street. But how did you get the baby from the house into the street? So he says you can't do this. Ella, rather, yoitzienu al yedei eina Yehudi merishus l'rishus. Rather, the Taz says what they should do is, first they should have an eina Yehudi take the baby out of the house into the street. Then the Taz says, in the street, to get from the street to the shul, in the street you could do pachas me'arba amis. Then when you get to the shul, again you'll need an Eini Yehudi to take the baby from the street into the shul, because now you're going from a Carmelis into a Rishus HaYachid. But the Magen Avram says you shouldn't do this pachas me'arba amis with the baby in the street at all. Why should we be matter this? Just do the bris in the house. Don't do the bris in the shul. Now, the Gemara in Masechta Shabbos, I think it's Hayam and Aleph, the Gemara has a very interesting discussion. Remember, what we're doing over here is we're allowing you to carry a chayfetz in Rishus HaRabim as long as you never carry it 4 amas or more in one shot. As long as you do less than 4 amas and then you stop, so now you broke up the act of transporting the chayfetz. You didn't transport it 4 amas. You transported it 3.5 amas. Then you stopped. Now when you start going again, you're starting a new act of transporting the chayfetz. So if you transported another 3.5 amas, again you didn't do 4 amas. Now it's true that between the first act and the second act, you moved the chayfetz 7 amas. But you never did 4 amas in one shot. You broke it up each time. The question on the Gemara in Shabbos Hayam and Aleph is, what constitutes stopping? Right? From 30,000 feet, we're saying, carry the chayfetz 3.5 amas, and then stop. By stopping, that means that when you start going again, it's a new act of transporting the chayfetz. It's disconnected from the first 3.5 feet. Instead of it being 7 feet, it's 3.5 feet, and then 3 amas, let's say. Instead of it being 7 amas, it's 3.5 amas, and then another 3.5 amas. It's broken up into 2 actions because you stopped in the middle. The question is, when we talk about stopping in the middle, does it matter why you stopped? And the Gemara in Shabbos says, yes, it does matter why you stopped. And the Gemara in Shabbos makes a distinction between 2 different cases. One case is, you stopped because you needed a break. Sometimes when you're carrying something, you need to rest. So you went 3.5 amas, and then you stopped to rest. Stopping to rest is considered a bona fide stop. Why is that? We're not learning the sugya of HaTorah now in Masechta Shabbos, but again, from 30,000 feet, the reason why stopping to rest is considered a stop is because it really is a stop. You stopped because you didn't want to carry it anymore. You stopped because you needed a break. So you stopped in order to put the chayfetz at rest. That's why you stopped. So that's considered a bona fide stop. But how about if that's not why you stopped? The other scenario that the Gemara considers is somebody who was oimid lekatef. Oimid lekatef means he stopped in order to adjust his load. In my mind, what I would tell you is imagine somebody who has a backpack slung over his shoulder. Every now and then he stops and, he goes like that with his shoulder to adjust the backpack on his shoulder. That's called oimid lekatef. That's stopping to adjust your load. The Gemara in Shabbos says oimid lekatef is not considered a stop. And again, from 30,000 feet, the reason oimid lekatef is not considered a stop is because you didn't stop because you wanted to stop transporting the chayfetz. You didn't stop to take a break. You're not interested in taking a break. You want to keep on going. But the way it was on your shoulder, it might fall off. So you're just stopping a second to adjust your load. But that's not a real stop. So again, the Gemara in Shabbos talks about two cases. There's a guy who stopped to rest. That's called oimid lafush. Oimid lafush is stopping to rest. That's a bona fide stop. Oimid lekatef is not a stop. Stopping to adjust your load is not a stop. So if you went 3.5 amas and then you stopped to rest, that's a real break. Now when you start going again and you go another 3.5 amas, it's not 7 amas. It's 3.5 and 3.5. That would be pachas me'arba amas. Oimid lekatef, if you went 3.5 amas and then you adjusted your load, and then you went another 3.5 amas, that's 7 amas. So that wouldn't break up the two acts of transporting the chayfetz. That wouldn't accomplish pachas me'arba amas. Now let's plug that into our case. In our case, this person has his wallet. He wants to get home. It's on Shabbos. We're being makel for him, and we're letting him carry his purse pachas me'arba amas. So he's going to stop every 3.5 amas. Why is he stopping? You know why he's stopping? He's stopping to fulfill the halachic requirement of stopping every 3.5 amas. Well, what's that considered? Is that considered oimid lafush? Is that considered stopping to rest? Or is that considered oimid lekatef? Is that considered stopping to adjust your load? In which case it wouldn't constitute a stop. That's what the Mishnah Berurah is going to address over here. Says the Mishnah Berurah is cut Yulches. Pachos me'arba amas. The person should carry it less than 4 amas. Then v'yamod lafush beintayim rega echad. Then after he goes, let's say 3.5 amas, he should stop to rest for a minute, lahafsik beinehem, in order to create a break between the two acts of transporting the chayfetz. V'hanochas gufay kanochas chayfetz. And by stopping, he doesn't have to put down the wallet. He could hold the wallet. The fact that he stopped, hanochas haguf, putting his body at rest, equals hanochas hachayfetz. That is equal to putting the chayfetz that you're carrying also at rest. Says the Chavetz Chaim. Even though, says the Chavetz Chaim, this is not really oimid lafush. Is this person stopping to take a break? No, he doesn't need a break. He's only stopping to fulfill the halachic requirement of stopping. The only reason he's stopping is so that he shouldn't be carrying the chayfetz 4 amas or more in one shot. But he's not stopping really to break. Afilu hachri mikri oimid lafush. Says the Chavetz Chaim, this still fulfills the requirements of the Gemara Shabbos Daf Hey and Aleph that says that a stop for a break is the only type of stop that breaks the two acts of carrying into two. This stopping to fulfill the halachic requirement is considered oimid lafush. But the Mishnah Berurah says, Yesh machmirin. However, there are those that rule stringently on this question, and they say shetzarch dafka leishe beintayim, that the person would actually have to sit down, or to unload the chayfetz and put it down on the ground. Only that would make a break in the two acts of carrying. Kasra achreidim, the achreidim right. The pachas me'arba amos yoiser adif sheyia al yedei shnayim. When it comes to employing the heter of pachas me'arba amos, the best way to do it is to employ more than one person. So if you would have Reuven and Shimon that are walking in the Rishus Harabim, that are stuck in this scenario. You have Reuven and Shimon traveling, and Shabbos started, and they have a purse. The way you should do pachas be'arba amos is Reuven should walk 3.5 amos, stop, hand off the kiss to Shimon. Then Shimon should walk 3.5 amos, stop, and then hand it off to Reuven. And keep doing that. That would be better than one person going 3.5 amos, stopping, another 3.5 amos, stopping, and so on and so on. If you do use more than one person, then everybody would agree that nobody has to sit down, and you don't have to specifically stop to rest. If you're going 3.5 amos and then you're transferring the chayfetz to another person, then that definitely breaks up the acts of carrying, and they're not going to combine to be one continuous act of carrying. Okay, now let's go back to the top line here in the Shulchan Aruch. Says the Mechaber, this heter of using pachas be'arba amos is v'dafka kisai. You could only employ this when it's a person's wallet or his purse, or if he found a valuable mitzia, but it already came to his hand. What does that mean that it already came to his hand? It means it's a mitzia that he found on Erev Shabbos. A mitzia that he found on Shabbos, we already learned this about this previously. If somebody found a mitzia on Shabbos, we're not going to give him a heter of pachas be'arba amos to transport a mitzia that you found on Shabbos. Why? We said earlier, it came liyadai without any tircha. We're not afraid that he's going to be bol al mamoinoi. It's only a mitzia that came to his hand before Shabbos. That's what the Mishnah Berurah says. It's cutting your test. What does it mean? Shabal yadai. Hainu miba'id yom. It means he found it on Erev Shabbos. Chanal b'sif aleph. Continuing the Mechaber, last word on the top line. Avlim loy bal yadai. But if it's not a mitzia that came to him on Erev Shabbos loy, we're not going to make kulas for him. Says the Mechaber Sif Ches, second line. Yeshayim, there are those that say the dafka misha hichshich loy b'derech. All of these heterim only apply to somebody who got stuck on the road when Shabbos came in. We're only going to give these heterim for somebody who got stuck in traffic. Somebody thought that he had enough time to get home, and then something happened, something went awry, and he ended up getting stuck on the road when Shabbos started. But if somebody went on a trip and he started his trip very close to Shabbos, and he forgot and he took something out to the Rishus Harabim with him, in that case we're not giving him a terim. Somebody who left very close to Shabbos and he was a paisheya, he went out into the Rishus Harabim carrying his wallet. He didn't realize, hey, Shabbos is starting, take your wallet out of your pocket. We're not giving him a terim. We're not going to allow him to be over in the Rabbanon of Amir La'akum and give it to an Eina Yehudi. We're not going to let him do pachas me'arba amos. Why? Because he's a pesheya. Says the Mishnah Berurah, somebody who left with plenty of time and something went awry, so we're going to consider him at least a little bit of an oinus. For him, we'll make a terim. But somebody who went out close to Shabbos carrying something, we're not going to give him kulas. Hatam to paisheyahu, we consider him to be a paisheya. It means he was negligent. Since when he left, it was very close to Shabbos. He should have realized. We learned this halacha before. When you go out to the Rishus Harabim, you don't take something out into the Rishus Harabim with you. So this person who left samach lechashecha lo yitir loy, we don't give him a terim. This person is going to have to do what the Ramah says later on in this Siman in Sifyod Beis. He's going to have to undo his belt in the street. He's got a money pouch on his belt. We're not giving him any terim to save his money pouch. He's going to have to undo his belt for who neifel, and it's going to fall into the street. What could he do? He can ask an Eini Yehudi in the street, do me a favor, it's my Shabbos. I had to drop my money pouch. Do me a favor, watch it for me. ובספר אליהו רבה הביא דס הרשב"א החלק על ישר רמזה, ובספיר לי דגם בזה יש לסמך על כל הדרכים הנ"ל, וכוסף דיש לסמך עליו. We have an Eliyahu Rabba who brings down a Rashba who's not so draconian, and he says even somebody who went out, samach lechashecha, if he got stuck out with his money bag, we're going to let him use the heterim that we've discussed until now. Okay, let's move along to Sif Tes here. All right. So we have this person who got stuck on the road on Erev Shabbos. We've given him heterim. So let's go back to the beginning of the Siman. Let's say we have the guy who has a chamor with him. So he's out in the Rishus Harabim. He has a purse. He might have a suitcase. And he has a chamor. So we said, you don't have an Ein Yehudi with you. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your purse on top of the chamor. You're going to do it in a way that the chamor is never going to make an akira and a hanacha. You're going to prevent the chamor from ever making an akira. Therefore, the chamor is never going to perform the complete malacha of haitzah. By doing that, you'll protect yourself from being over on shvisas behemtai, and you'll protect yourself from being over on mechamer. Okay, so now you're making your merry way through the Rishus Harabim, and now you come to town. All right, says the mechaber, higia lechotzer hachitzoina hamishtameres. As soon as you get into town and you find the first protected area, you come into town, you live a mile into town. You come into town and you come to the first chotzer. A chotzer is an enclosed area. You find the first chotzer, that is a protected area. You go into that chotzer, and now what do? Noitel me'al chamar kelim hanitolim. You have kelim that are loaded up on the chamar. Okay. Any kelim that are not muktzah, that means, that's what the mechaber means here, kelim hanitolim. Kelim that you're allowed to handle, because they're not muktzah, you unload off the chamar. So you get to the first protected chotzer in the town. Any kelim that are on the chamar that are not muktzah, kelim that you're allowed to handle, unload them from the chamar. But if you have kelim on the chamar that are muktzah, what do? Matir es hachavolim, loosen up the ropes that are tied on the chamar, that are holding these kelim on the chamar, v'hasakim noiflim, and then any sacks or bags that have kelim in them will fall off the chamar. So if you have muktzah kelim that are in bags on the chamar, and you can't handle the kelim because they're muktzah, untie the ropes and let the bags fall to the ground. What do? Let's say there are glass kelim, and they're glass kelim she'asal taltalam. They're glass kelim that are muktzah. What kind of glass kelim are muktzah, says the mechaber? Kigoyin shem kaisai sham akizei dam. Let's say they're the glass kelim that were used by bloodletters. She'ein ru'uyim b'shabbos l'klum. A glass jar or a glass keli that's used by somebody who does bloodletting has absolutely no use on Shabbos. You know why? Lefi shem mu'usim. They're repulsive, right? This is medical waste. This is vials that hold blood. They don't have any Shabbos purpose at all. So these are glass kelim that are muktzah. You can't just loosen the bag on the chamar and let it fall to the ground. They're going to smash. But you also can't handle them because they're muktzah. What do then? Says the mechaber, if you let them just fall to the ground, they're going to break. So what do? Says the mechaber, maniach tachteim karim ukesasais. First you get pillows or blankets and you lay them out on the ground. And then what do? You untie the ropes on the chamor, and now you let the bags full of these glass kelim fall onto the pillows and the blankets, so they won't break. But the mechaber cautions us that you have to be careful based on the halacha that we learned about previously. V'dafka b'masois ketanois. But you could only do this with small kelim. So if you have a little bag that has some blood vials in it, you could do this. You could put a pillow on the ground, untie the bag from the chamar, let it fall on the pillow. Why? You could only do this with small packages, where after the glass kelim fall on the pillow, you could pull the pillow out and let the glass kelim roll onto the ground so that they won't break. But if you have a big sack full of these glass kalim and it's heavy, so you're not going to be able to pull the pillow out from under it once the package goes on the pillow, she'eina yachal lishmai takar mitachtein. If it's a big package and you're not going to be able to pull the pillow out, then you can't do this. You know why? Also, lahanicham tachtein, then you can't set the pillow up to have the package fall on the pillow. Remember that? So what's going on over here? What's going on over here is very simple. You have a package, let's say a sack, a saddlebag, tied onto the chamor. In that saddlebag are delicate glass kalim. To just untie the saddlebag from the chamor and let the saddlebag fall on the ground, the glass kalim will shatter. So that's not an option for you. You don't want to do that. Okay, to actually handle the glass kalim, you also can't do because they're muktzah. Why are they muktzah? Because they're repulsive. They're muktzah machmas miyas. So you can't handle them. So the mechaber said, I'll give you an eitzah. Take a mattress, put a mattress down on the ground, untie the saddlebag from the chamor, let the saddlebag fall on the mattress. Now the kalim won't break. But says the mechaber, you can only do this if the package is light enough that after you allow the package to fall on the mattress, if you want to use the mattress, you could pull the mattress out from underneath the package. But if it's a big, heavy package and you're not going to be able to pull the mattress out from under the package, then you can't do it. You know why? Because you're being mevatel kli mehechanoi. What does that mean? We learned about this earlier. You're taking a mattress that was eminently usable on Shabbos, and now you created a situation where it no longer could be used because it's got something muktzah on top of it. The muktzah item that's on top of it, you're not allowed to move, and it's heavy, so you can't pull the mattress out from under it. So now the mattress is no longer usable. You're being mevatel kli mehechanoi, and that's usher. If the package is small, no problem. If you want the mattress, you'll pull out the mattress from under the package, and you'll be able to use the mattress. But if the package is heavy, you're not going to be able to do that. So now you will mevatel kli mehechanoi. Let's take a look here in the Mishnah Berurah. Let's see how much of the Mishnah Berurah we're going to be able to do. Let's do Mishnah Berurah's cut and chaf gimel. So, the mechaber in the first halacha here in Sif Tes said, you're out traveling, you've put your packages on the chamor. Said the mechaber, when you get to the first protected chotzer in the town, that's it. You go into that chotzer, and now you start unloading the chamor in an oifen of heter. So if you have kalim on the chamor that are not muktzah, so you take them off the chamor and you put them down. Brings up the Mishnah Berurah a technical problem. He throws in here a Magen Avram that asks a technical shaila. Ois kan chaf gimel. He giel a chotzer. Hiksha Magen Avram. The Magen Avram asks a kasha. He says, I don't understand. You loaded up stuff on the chamor. You've been traveling on Shabbos in the Rishus HaRabim with the chamor. And you're making sure that you're not over on Shvisas Behemtoi and you're not over on the Isser of Mechamer. How are you doing that? You're preventing the animal from ever making an akira. Okay, how are you preventing the animal from making an akira? Well, you loaded up the animal when it was already moving. Anytime the animal stopped, the animal stopped, you unloaded the animal. Now you waited for the animal to start again. When the animal started again, you reloaded it. So now the animal is never making an akira. Since the animal is never making an akira, it's never doing an akira and a hanacha. Since it never does an akira and a hanacha, it never performs a complete malacha. Since it never performs a complete malacha, you're never over on Shvisas Behemta, you're never over on Mechamer. But, asks the Magen Avram, now you came to town. When you come to town, the Mechaber is telling you, you should go into the first Chatzar HaMishtameres. Now let's realize something. When you go from a Rishus HaRabim into a Chatzar HaMishtameres, you know what you're doing? You're going from Rishus HaRabim into a Rishus HaYachid. Now, the nature of an animal, says the Magen Avram, is that when an animal comes to a gate, it doesn't just keep on walking and walk through the gate. You have to know the nature of animals for this. I'm telling you what the Magen Avram says, and it's based on a mechaber that we're going to have later on. The nature of an animal is that when it comes to a gate, it stops, and then it goes again. It doesn't just walk and continue walking and walk right through the gate. So asks the Magen Avram, now you're going to have a big problem. The animal is going to stop right before the gate, so the animal is going to make a hanacha. When the animal stops, that's a hanacha. When the animal starts going again, where is it located? It's still located in the Rishus Harabim. It's on the outside of the gate. So it's making an akira in Rishus Harabim. Now it walks, let's say, 2 amas, and it goes into the chutzner. Okay, now it just transported whatever's on it from the Rishus Harabim into the Rishus HaYachid. Now it's going to stop in the Rishus HaYachid. You know what the animal just did? The animal just completed, he just performed a complete malacha of Haitzah. The animal made an akira in Rishus Harabim because it was stopped. When it got to the gate, it stopped. When it started going again, it made an akira in the Rishus Harabim. Now it goes into the chutzner, into the Rishus HaYachid. And when it stops, it makes a hanacha in the Rishus HaYachid. Presto, it just performed the complete malacha of Haitzah. And if the animal performed a complete malacha of Haitzah, then you're over on Shvisas Behemta, if it's your animal. And if you urged the animal to do it, you're over on the Yisr of Mechamer. So, says the Mishnah Berurah over here, Eis Katan Chav Gimel, Hikshah Magen Avram, when the animal is located a little bit outside the gateway to the chutzner, it's going to make an akira in Rishus Harabim. Then it's going to go into Rishus HaYachid, and if it stops, it's going to make a hanacha in Rishus HaYachid. U'kamoshe kasav Sif Yod Aleph. We're going to see a very similar problem later on in Sif Yod Aleph. And then it's going to perform a complete malacha, and you're going to be up the creek. So says the Magen Avram, Tzarech Leimar, what you have to say is, the Gabe Behemtoi Loi Hichmiru Kolkach. You have to say that the fact that the animal is doing this malacha, we're not so machmer on the fact that the animal is doing this complete malacha. Why not? Why not? Everything that we've spoken about until now is that we don't want the animal to perform a complete malacha. Yet the Magen Avram says over here, Tzarech Loimer the Gabe Behemtoi Lo Yichmiru Kolkach. V'ayin b'Prima Gadim, the Prima Gadim, take a look at the Prima Gadim, Shenitchak Ma'oid B'Tiritzeh. The Prima Gadim says this doesn't work. What do you mean by an animal we're not makbid? Why aren't we makbid? V'yesh b'tartzim, so there are those that want to answer like this. And they want to say that no, there are steps that you have to take to make sure that this shouldn't be a problem. What are the steps? V'yesh b'tartzim, the Yizar lital mehabehema tekif b'vaya l'chotzer ba'oida mahaleches. You know what you do? You're right. The animal is going to stop right outside the gate. And when the animal starts again, it's going to make an akira in Rishus Harabim. And now it's going to go into the Rishus HaYachid. You know what you do? As soon as it steps into the Rishus HaYachid, while it's still moving, quickly unload the animal. So now it never makes a hanacha in the Rishus HaYachid. If it never makes a hanacha in the Rishus HaYachid, it never performed the complete malacha. Kadei shelo tia hanacha yidei behema. Or alternately, do the other way. Prevent it from doing the akira. Or what you do is, unload the animal before it actually walks into the chutzner. Or unload it right outside the gate. We said it's going to stop for a minute outside the gate. So when it stops, unload it, and don't reload it until it starts walking to go through the gate. Now, even though when it goes into the chutzner it's going to stop, it's going to make a hanacha inside the chutzner, less lanba, that's okay, because it didn't make an akira. It didn't make an akira in the Rishus Harabim. It transported something from Rishus Harabim into Rishus HaYachid, but it didn't make an akira in the Rishus Harabim. It's only making a hanacha in Rishus HaYachid. T'chol davar shebechaverei pater avalaser, and this is okay, because in this case what the animal is doing, the animal is actually performing an Issa D'Rabbanan. Midaraisa, it's also to transport a chayfetz from Rishus Harabim into Rishus HaYachid if you make an akira in Rishus Harabim and a hanacha in Rishus HaYachid. But if you would do it without making an akira in Rishus Harabim, and you would just make a hanacha in Rishus HaYachid, that would only be this D'Rabbanan. We call that potter aval aser. You're potter, you're exempt if you do it because it's not an issa daraisa. So you would be exempt from bringing a karbachatas if you did it b'shayeg. You would be exempt from skila if you did it b'mezid. You would be exempt from karis if you did it b'mezid without edim and asra. So it's potter aval aser, but it's still aser. Why is it aser? It's aser midrabanan. But anything that's aser midrabanan, if you do it yourself, it's mutter to have the animal do it. So the kol davar shebechaver pater of alaser bechamoray muter lechatchila. Okay, we're going to pause over here, and we'll pick up next time. Yirtzeh Hashem, picking up with Mishnah Berurah is Kat L'Chav Daled. Thank you so much for joining me for limud HaTorah. Discuss of limud HaTorah should be Megan and Gans Klai Yisrael. The Baruch should said Yeshua Sevuros Parnas and Shaduchim to all those in need. Now we should be zoichet to see the Bias Goel Tzedek B'Meher V'Yameinu Amen. Be well.